Congressional District, Democrat Bonnie Watson-Coleman is retiring. NBC News projects Democrats in the Central Jersey 12th nominated plastic surgeon and former combat surgeon Adam Hamaway. Hamaway, who's been critical of Israel's war in Gaza, had the support of Bernie Sanders and AOC, though Dr. Hamaway is not a Democratic socialist like they are. Hamaway figures to be the favorite in November over Republican Greg Mealy, a lawyer who's run more than once and was unopposed Tuesday. Democrats outnumber Republicans in the 12th by more than 2-1. I'm Andrew Whitman.
An experimental drug is nearly doubling the survival rate of people with advanced pancreatic cancer.
A new study out in the New England Journal of Medicine found that patients with spreading pancreatic cancer who took daraxonrasib reduced their risk of dying by 60% if they had previously had treatment. Dr. Catherine Free from Pancreatic Cancer UK says the drug could be a game changer for many.
Pancreatic cancer is a very aggressive cancer, and over half of people die within 3 months of diagnosis.
When the news was announced at a doctor's conference, it was greeted with a standing ovation. I'm Michael Kastner.
Officials in Norfolk, Virginia are investigating after several marine animals washed up dead on Virginia beaches.
The Virginia Aquarium says 2 dolphins and 3 turtles washed up dead on Ocean View beaches. The animals were found last week, but officials with the aquarium say it's not unusual to see dead marine animals wash up on shore. They say the stranding response team's busiest months are usually May and June, and Ocean View is one of the most common beaches to see animals stranded. And they report this latest incident showed no indication of abnormal stranding activity. The dead animals were disposed of with the help from both the stranding response team and the city of Norfolk. I'm Rosia Rivera.
From America's News Network, USA Radio News.
Maybe this is you too. There's enormous frustration right now with healthcare costs. It is amazing. Healthcare costs for families in the last 20 years have almost tripled, and it just keeps getting worse. All this to say, this is why MediShare is so in demand right now. People are looking for alternatives, and MediShare is proven. You can save thousands of dollars a year and actually like it more. Over 1 million Americans are now part of healthcare sharing, and MediShare is the gold standard. It's trusted, it works. It's been helping people save money and have peace of mind now for 30 plus years. It's not some big impersonal thing either. It's a community of people like you helping each other. So yeah, if you're frustrated too, here's your chance to make a refreshing change. You'll notice the difference as soon as you call. They're easy to talk to. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number. Call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE-40. 855-SHARE-40.
Iran's largest cryptocurrency exchange is being sanctioned by the U.S.
The Treasury Department said on Tuesday that Novitex was helping the Iranian government evade sanctions. The exchange is accused of processing hundreds of millions of dollars for Iran's central bank and the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. I'm Mark Mayfield.
Interior Secretary Doug Burgum says recent restorations of parks, fountains, and monuments in Washington, D.C. demonstrates that the city conditions are ultimately a matter of policy and leadership choices. Speaking about cleanup efforts led under President Donald Trump, Burgum pointed to renovated public spaces ahead of the upcoming national anniversary celebrations. Supporters say the improvements show what sustained investment can achieve, while critics continue to debate how cities should balance public space use, housing concerns, and maintenance priorities. George Santos is in trouble again.
The former Republican congressman from New York was expelled from the House in 2023 and sent to prison on federal fraud charges, but was then pardoned by President Trump 2 years later. On Tuesday, the New York Times says Santos was being investigated again, this time for alleged insider trading on the Kalshi prediction market. The report said online bettors were wagering on the guest list for the president's State of the Union address last February. Santos said before the speech that he would be attending, but then didn't show. Sources allege that Santos bet against himself. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
I'm Ron Warner, USA Radio News.
You can help put vets to work by donating your car, truck, or van. Your donation will directly support programs to help vets find jobs or even start their own business. Donate today for fast, free pickup of your vehicle. Call 800-209-4580 for 24-hour response. Call 800-209-4580. That's 800-209-4580.
Dependable Lock Service is your source for replacement car keys, custom safes from Liberty Safe, and so many more lock and key services. With over 30 years of experience in lock and key industry, there's nothing Dependable Lock Service can't do for you. Whether you're looking for duplicate automotive chip keys, rekeying commercial and residential locks, or custom safe building, we've got you covered. Call 603-886-0559. Nashua's Dependable Lock Services 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
The sky's not the limit, it's just the beginning. I'm Ed Mullen from Nashua Aerial Advertising. There's no better way to advertise your business and or message than high in the sky. How can you make your advertising budget work for you? By putting your ads up where they'll stand out. The sky is an uncluttered, impressive venue. You can put your message over a region or location to target your desired demographic. Put your ads where they're needed. We provide coverage over communities through Merrimack Valley, Greater Nashua, Manchester, Lowell, and points throughout South Central New Hampshire and North Central Mass. Summertime beaches, sporting events, races, fairs, and festivals are all ready-made for banner telling. For more information, please visit us online at NashuaAerialAdvertising.com. And remember, the sky's not the limit, it's just the beginning.
Tired of wondering where your money really goes? At Mammoth Nation, we built what was missing. The America First Marketplace. Every brand we feature is 100% American owned and operated. Rigorously vetted for their values and committed to supporting our Constitution, law enforcement, and the American dream. When you shop with us, your dollar stays in the neighborhood, supporting families, veterans, and charities like Folds of Honor. No more sending your hard-earned money overseas to the companies that don't respect you here. Your dollar reflects your values. Your dollar, your values. Your America. Join Mammoth Nation today and be part of building a patriot economy by going to TruckersUnitedForFreedom.com affiliate page and hit that link. American built, America strong, Mammoth Nation.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Welcome to the Common Sense Conservatives, a political discussion group about current events and other government-related matters every Wednesday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. Right here on WSMN 1590 AM, WSMN 95.3 FM, and streaming live on wsmn.live. Making sense of the inverted reality we are subject to every day, the Common Sense Conservatives are here to help bring you back to reality. Now, your hosts, Chris Wyatt, Todd McKinley, and John Glovin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Common Sense Conservatives. Gentlemen, I have been a little bit under the weather today, so we're going to see how this show goes, but it is my lead tonight, and so far my voice is holding up. So, with that being said, Todd, how are you doing over there in Tennessee?
Oh, not bad, John. Just hanging in here, just making it happen, man. Just getting into some different podcasts these days. That's what I'm working on. Trying to find podcasts that I haven't listened to. That's about it at the moment.
Oh, you're branching out a little bit, trying to get more acquainted with what's out there. Yeah, that's actually. Go ahead.
I'm actually listening to a few things that are on the left just to kind of see what they're talking about. You know, it's like, you know, you always hear the same old echo chamber. You know, what's going on the right. I'm like, well, what the heck are they talking about? So I'm listening to some of that stuff. So just to kind of know what your enemy's talking about, I guess, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. I follow people on Facebook, you know, our U.S. senators and representatives here in New Hampshire so that I can see the stuff they say. I'll keep it clean and say it like that instead of making light of them. But sometimes they do say some things that make me kind of wonder what they're thinking, you know, like Hassan complaining about Trump and what Trump is doing. I'm like, what are you going to do about it? I mean, you're not in a position to stop him. So if you're just saying it on Facebook, you're whining about it, it's not going anywhere. But you think there'd be more important matters they could be talking about. But at the same time, Chris, how things going in Pennsylvania?
Well, better than going in D.C. We just had the House Representatives betray America and leave us vulnerable to nuclear attack by voting to pass with 4 Republican betrayers with the Democrats to pass a war powers resolution to force the president to withdraw U.S. troops from the Middle East. So better than D.C.
So they're trying to force Trump out of Iran. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yep, exactly. So not a surprise. Not a surprise.
So you say it passed the House. Is that what you're saying? And, of course, onto the Senate, or what are we looking at now?
6 minutes before we went live, a 215 to 28 vote. It's a rebuke of President Trump and his policy. for Iran. So it will now go to the Senate, but they have, I think, 15 days in order to vote on this. If they don't, then it falls. So if the
Right.
Senate can hold it off 15 days, then it disappears. I don't know if the president has the authority to veto it. You would think he would, but I don't know how legislate. I think the legislation is unconstitutional, and I've always said that. So it will set up a legal challenge, and Trump is not going to take the troops out of there.
I think as a resolution, I don't think he gets to. I don't think it goes to his desk, if I'm not unless I'm mistaken.
Well, how can you sign a law into existence when the Constitution gives the executive branch to veto any law that Congress passes? How can that be
Right.
constitutional? So that's what I'm saying. So I think this is setting up a potential mess. It's going to be a legal one. But anyway, bottom line, Trump is not going to take troops out of there.
Right. Yeah. Well, could it be a situation where it allows Congress not to fund troops over there, forcing him to bring them back, or something like that, maybe, or is this a wait and see?
Well, that's the way they normally control things through the purse strings. But I mean, it's so easy to use existing funds for operations that it may be frustrating, but it won't stop him from doing what he needs to do.
Right. Right. Yeah. Moving it from different funds or whatever, and then of course tell Congress, well, you have to fund this over here, right?
Yeah, I look. This is not really good. This shows dissension in America, and it just encourages the Iranian theocracy terrorists to continue to do what they're doing, because as far as they can see, America's in disarray, and they're not going to fight against us. We need unity at times like this, and of course, the Democrats erupted in applause and joy. They are so mentally deranged in their hatred of Donald Trump that they will destroy this country just to get Donald Trump. It's just disgraceful.
So to answer the question, Chris, you got joint resolution, concurrent resolution, and simple resolutions. The simple resolution and concurrent resolution both do not require the presidential signature. However, those do not become law. Those are probably for the purpose like policy within the.
If they're resolutions, they're not laws. Yes, they're not bills.
Right.
Joint resolutions, on the other hand, do require the presidential signature, and this must be what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm. I don't know the full text of the 1973 War Powers Act, but what I've read of it, it's always struck me as unconstitutional. So we'll have to see. But again, Trump is not going to withdraw. But the problem is that if he doesn't do that, then he looks like he's running rogue, and this sets up problems for Republicans running in the fall. So
Right. Yeah. So if he does withdraw, he can twist it and say, hey, now all of a sudden Iran's going to be nuclear and it's a Democrat. So now all of a sudden Democrats are basically going to have to answer for the kerfuffle, not Trump at this point, right?
Well, look, this is just not good. I mean, we need country to be together, and it's not the case.
Oh, we haven't been there in a long time.
Right, yeah, but right now the forces are vulnerable right now out there, especially, who knows what could pop off, and if they decided to do some massive drone strike, missile strike, something like that, you can bet American service members and our allies, whoever they may be, could be potentially harmed or killed, and something like that. And that's why you need to fund them while they're there, for crying out loud. Debate the issue here on Capitol Hill. Debate it during your campaigns or whatever, but you got to fund and back them, for crying out loud. If not, you're leading lambs to the slaughter here.
So this answers my point right here. This paragraph right here. Congress has historically deployed concurrent resolutions to express its position on an issue without requiring presidential approval, because it's a resolution. The Supreme Court in 1983 held that in order for congressional action to have binding legal effect, which is what I just stated, they must go through the standard legislative process, including being presented to the president to be signed into law, at which point he can veto it. They need 2/3 signatures in both bodies to override his veto. There's no way that they will get 2/3 signatures in the House or Senate. So this is more effort to divide this country and show dissension here, while we've got these theocrats murdering people left and right in Iran. And this is beyond frustrating for me. These people hate America so much. They should be focused on ending this nuclear threat. They're so stupid. They do not understand how close Iran has been, and it doesn't take an intercontinental ballistic missile to reach America. It takes a cargo ship, a container ship with a nuclear device inside it. Didn't we see this movie, The Sum of All Fears? The worst
Baltimore came to the port of Baltimore.
That's right, the worst freaking Tom Clancy movie ever with what's his name there? Yeah, not exactly the best Jack Ryan, to say the least, or Ben Affleck.
No, it was not.
I think there's still such thing as there's still such thing as dirty bombs too, right? Like suitcase.
Well, that's what that was. That's dude. You got to watch. You got to watch the movies.
I
Come
don't
on.
know the movie. But,
oh my gosh! Todd,
I thought you were talking about shipping something. Actually,
can you believe he hasn't watched that terrible movie?
No, terrible. But what I like about it, because at the beginning they're doing a training exercise at Mount Weather. I'm like, I've been there many times, many exercises, many classes up at Mount Weather. And also the NAOC. I'm like, I've been on the NAOC many times. I'm like, that's cool. They got that right. I love it. So that's why I love the movie. But also I love that Ryan, shoot him before he figures out what I'm talking about, Ryan. Yeah, I love it.
No, look, it was I'm sorry, Ben Affleck is Jack Ryan. It wasn't viable.
No,
the guy
I don't
who does
go
it,
on the missions.
the guy who does it now for whatever the things are that used to be in The Office, he's
Krasinski or whatever.
I can't watch that, but he's much more believable than Ben Affleck was. Look, I mean, Harrison Ford is a leftist wackadoodle, but Harrison Ford is Jack Ryan. Sorry. Although I must say that the one time he's actually a good actor. What's his name there? The guy who murdered the person, the prop gun there, Alec.
Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin. He did a great job with Red October. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
He was a great Jack Ryan in that one. Yep.
And of course, the adversary was Sean Connery, so that also made it great too. So it made the Russians palatable by having Sean Connery as a Russian.
Sean Connery is an estranged Estonian submarine commander. Was a very interesting cast.
Yeah, actually, he doesn't try to do an accent.
That's right. Yeah, but seriously, look, this is going nowhere. All it does is show dissension, and it gives the media fodder for how America's divided when we're not divided. The Democrats don't represent America. At best, they represent 1/3. And of that 1/3, half of those people are the lunatic fringe. It's quite obvious. I mean, so George Floyd spends 45 minutes disobeying the orders of police officers to exit his vehicle after passing counterfeit currency in a shop. That's why they were called. The other black man in the vehicle, when the police asked him to exit the vehicle, identify himself, he did so. He walked away that day. But George Floyd, high on fentanyl, was obstructionist with the cops. He came out, an Hispanic, an Asian, and a white officer present on the scene, and they called it white supremacy because he died. The autopsy from the coroner says the cause of death was not a chokehold. The cause of death was a fentanyl overdose. That's why he died. Yet Derek Chauvin sits in prison, and America was burned left and right by a bunch of radical black supremacists and racists in this country who are white. Meanwhile, Daniel Penny is falsely arrested for saving people's lives on the New York subway. We have Donald Trump nearly murdered. We have this Ukrainian refugee stabbed by a black murderer. We have all these race-related incidents where white Americans are the victims of these crimes. Now we have the situation in England where that guy was stabbed and the cops stood around and let him bleed to death by putting handcuffs on him. All of this, and are our cities burning? Are people destroying public infrastructure? No. White lives just don't matter. That's the bottom line.
Right. Because we're not destroying public infrastructure?
So real quick, I want to shift gears, and I know I'm not the lead here. Are you guys watching the election in California, the gubernatorial election and the LA elections?
Oh, do you mean the one where it's now almost 21 hours since the polls have closed and we only have 52% of the vote counted while they're busy faking ballots in the background so they can steal the election for Tom Steyer and push Steve Hilton from first to third? Oh, that election? Yes, I'm watching that, Todd.
Right. What's so funny is, I was watching how many people Florida have, how many ballots are cast in Florida, and how almost, I don't say instantaneously, but within minutes to an hour or so after polls closing, you have results in Florida, many millions of ballots. But California, what they do, they wait. They're like, and I heard it on it was a new LA reporter today said, the reason is we have just so many voters, so it just takes a while to count the votes. Nothing to be alarmed about. I'm like, there is something to be alarmed about. They want to know how many votes that they need to manufacture, like you just said. That's why it's alarming that they haven't got them counted.
Well, and I've just got an update. It went to 55% of the votes, and Steve Hilton has lost 0.2% of the vote. Becerra gained 0.1 and Tom Steyer gained 0.1 to catch up to him. Its top two finishers go on to the November election, regardless of party. And right now, Steve Hilton has a 400,000 vote that should be insurmountable based on the number of votes left. That's over Tom Steyer in third place. Over Xavier Becerra, he has 107,000. That was a lead that Becerra had, 80,000 lead on Hilton last night with 27% of the vote in, and then Hilton surpassed him. As the vote came in from the Pacific Coast districts, he was close enough, it closed the gap. And then he passed him overnight, and now he's ahead by 107,000 votes. Now, remember that Donald Trump on election night in 2020 was 767,000 votes ahead of Joe Biden in Pennsylvania. Then they shut the counting down, and magically the next day, that 767,000 vote was gone, and Trump was trailing by 200,000+ votes. That means 900,000 votes changed overnight. Now, they claim that was from the mail-in ballots, but the number of mail-in ballots weren't sufficient to match that change when Pennsylvania was stolen.
Right, and that was stolen. I mean, point blank. I mean, how do you come back from 700 some thousand down? There's not that many ballots that are out there. At the same time, a number of those ballots would likely have gone to Trump anyway, just by basic math, right?
Well, the deal was that, as I recall, it was like 37% of those who asked for mail-in ballot were registered Republicans, and I think like 50-something were Democrats. So the rest were independents. The thing is that in order for that to change, the numbers of votes, it would have had to be 1.2 million votes. It shifted. There's just no way. It's just insane what happened there. And then they said, well, Trump lost all the cases. No, Trump didn't have any cases. Those were cases filed by the Republican Party and others. And the court illegitimately said they didn't have standing. And that's how those cases were dismissed. So it's unbelievable. I'm just looking up the presidential vote totals.
Right. Yeah. So basically, you're saying that they didn't say that there was nothing going on here. Basically, you just said that they said they didn't have standing to bring the case anyway. They didn't rule on anything.
No, they dismissed all those cases, not because there was no merit to them, because they said they had no standing. So Trump lost the election by less than 100,000 votes, 3,458,000 to 3,377,000. Now, that is out of less than 7 million ballots cast. Well, there was a shift of over 1.2 million ballots overnight. That's impossible. That would have meant that Joe Biden got over 89% of all the mail-in ballots. When 37% of the voters are Republican, ostensibly the majority of them are going to vote for Trump. That's just the way things go. But this was clearly an election. And guess who the Attorney General was in 2020? Want to guess?
Oh, is Javier? What was it? Becerra? Was he? Oh, who was it?
No. It's this Pennsylvania. Josh Shapiro.
Shapiro. Yeah. The current.
Who is now the governor? He's now the governor. We had Josh Shapiro. We had Kelly Bukvar, who was Secretary of State. And we had Tom Wolf, who was the corrupt governor, the same man that got thousands of our elderly parents, grandparents, aunts, and uncles dead because he stuck COVID-positive patients in our nursing homes, killing over 90,000 senior citizens in the state. He's yet to be called to account for his crimes. That's why I ran for the legislature. I was going to introduce legislation and make sure the press heard about it to strip him of his immunity and make him pay for culpable manslaughter. Anyway.
Right, absolutely. So one of the viewers here says, it's alleged that Iran already has a nuclear weapon. What do you think about that? Do you think they already have weapons or weapons capability?
They're close. I don't know if they have one, but they're very close.
Right. Okay, gotcha. Let's see here. Also, somebody's asking about the new DNI. If there's any thought, you have any thoughts on that one? Director of National Intelligence, or you want to hold off?
No, I can talk about that. I mean, it's John's show, but he's under the weather, so I'll let you run with this. I mean, if John's okay with it, listen. I'm happy to weigh in on that. I've said for a long time that Tulsi Gabbard was ill-equipped and not the right person to be the director of national intelligence.
Right.
She never led a team of more than 4 people on a civil affairs team. I mean, nothing. Right. She's never run a corporation. She's never been a battalion commander, a division commander. Never run anything. Just been elected to office from Hawaii and ran a civil affairs team. I'm embellishing slightly, but that's pretty much the gist of it. No background whatsoever in the intelligence community. No background in leadership of strategic organizations, yet she was appointed to the position. And I think we've seen some snafus in the intelligence community that could have been avoided, although she's done a fair job. I'll give her credit. Now this guy who works in housing, he's coming in to be the DNI. He has no experience at this level. We're talking about a global workforce of tens of thousands of people, including clandestine services, and tens of billions, $100 billion, almost $100 billion a year in revenue or expenditures. And this is a force that works with intelligence service. This guy is ill-equipped to do this. Look, I'm not the person that says you have to be an expert in something. I've said this before. My example is going back to IBM and when John Akers was replaced by Lou Gerstner. Lou Gerstner came in the early 1990s and took over IBM. When he took over, the people who didn't know much about Lou Gerstner, now I wasn't one of them because I studied Lou Gerstner as a young man. He was at American Express as vice president, brilliant guy, did a lot there to increase revenue, a transition from a charge card company to a credit card company as well. And then he went to RJR Nabisco and he ran the Nabisco, the food section there with no experience in the food industry. And he made it profitable after that ridiculous KKR, Coco Kravis and Roberts, leverage buyout. and he did amazing work at both of them. He was brought into IBM with no IT experience whatsoever. He probably knew how to turn on a computer, and that was it. People said this is a disaster for IBM. I said, no, it's not. This is a leader who understands things. He doesn't have to have the experience. He will get that as he goes forward. He needs smart people around him, and he knows how to pick the right people. And that's exactly, look at today. IBM now is trading, back then it was trading for the equivalent, a split base, about $7 a share, maybe $10 a share. Now it's at $327 a share. The company is amazing. And there's been Sam Palmisano came after him, and then they had a couple. Now they got an Indian guy there. Anyway, the point is that you don't have to be a subject matter expert to be successful. This guy, I'm not convinced, has any of the skills to make the intelligence community work. Making the intelligence community work is not like making IBM work. It's not like making Caterpillar work. It's not like rescuing Papa John's or something like that.
Right.
This is very different, very different. And I don't think he has the gravitas or skills to do it. I'm very concerned about our national intelligence community now. And I think the CIA will revert back to its role when the director of central intelligence was technically in charge of all the intelligence community, but didn't really run it. And they'll just do their own damn thing. I look for the CIA to go rogue now. That's just my thoughts.
No, wow, there you go. Yeah, back in the day, you had what is called a DCI, Director of Central Intelligence, who was also the director of the Central Intelligence Agency. So it was dual-hatted, essentially.
And that's under the 1947 National Defense Act.
National Security Act. Yeah, correct.
Right, National Security Act, yeah.
Created the Air Force.
Yeah, it sure did. And then that was the premise for creating the National Security Agency in 1952.
Right, good deal.
Yeah. So I don't think that this is a good choice. But I'm happy to be proven wrong, because our nation's security matters. So I hope I'm wrong.
No, for sure. John, how are you doing there? You doing okay?
Yeah, man, I'm doing all right. Hold my own. But yeah, if you guys got stuff to talk about, it's fine if you roll with things. I mean, you get a good roll going and stuff. I mean, I'm learning things from you right now. So.
Yeah. So here's something that I've also been seeing on some of these podcasts. Again, some of it's news clips, some of it's lefty news, whatever. And I just like to know what they're talking about. Trump's health as a concern. What are your thoughts on his health? I think he's had 4 physicals this year already. Which, I mean, you're at a certain age in a high pressure job. I mean, hey, let's keep an eye on him for sure. Make sure he's okay. What do you think? They're making hay out of nothing, or they're exaggerating his health concerns? What do you think?
Of course, they're exaggerating. I mean, the guy has got more energy than 35-year-olds. He's like the Energizer Bunny. Listen, he's 80 years old in 11 days. 11 days. And he maintains a pace that most people couldn't hold a candle to. He can walk up a flight of stairs to get on, and down a flight of stairs to get off of Air Force One, unlike Joe Biden.
Right.
He doesn't need a teleprompter. He doesn't step in the wrong spot, even though 6 inches of tape mark an X where he's supposed to stand. He knows where he's supposed to stand. There's no tape for Trump. Listen, has he dozed off in a few meetings? Yeah. Have I dozed off a few meetings?
Sure.
Yeah. Even in my 30s, I dozed off because some people are just boring. Anyway, but Trump this is all nonsense. This is all nonsense. If it isn't Russia collusion, it's his health. They try the crap the same time around. What Trump does need to do is lose some weight. That's one thing he does need to do. But I need to lose some weight too, so I don't have much ground to speak here. But the bottom line is that this is nonsense. Trump is healthier than Biden was. He's probably I don't know that he's healthier than Obama. But it might have been because Obama clandestinely still smoked, that nasty, disgusting habit that he had. So he's not as healthy as George Bush was. But George Bush was 30 years his junior. He was 30 years his junior. He was in his 50s when he was president. So anyway, this is nonsense.
Yeah, Bush 43, W. Bush, he ran and he rode a mountain bike like a son of a gun. And down in Crawford, I forget what the club was called, something like something about 100 degrees, whatever. It had to be over 100 degrees for so many days, and you can go out biking or running with him or whatever. He'd have you out there, and he'd give you a T-shirt and all this stuff afterwards. And everybody that I work with came back every time with something, and I'm like, son of a gun. I'm like, I don't travel for the president, so I can't go down there and do that. They're like, well, maybe you can get the vice president to go down there and you could run out there and do that. I'm like, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Dick Cheney likes hot weather like that. So that'll never happen. So,
yep. Yeah, no, it's it's all just nonsense with this thing with Trump's health. I mean, you should expect there should be some issues. The concern has to be cognitive issues. Ronald Reagan was younger and was already suffering from Alzheimer's in his last 2 years of his second term. Trump is nowhere near that. Now, Trump's administration spans 12 years, even though it's just 2 terms. 12 years.
Correct.
We are now in the year 10, and he's sharp as a tack. You know, Reagan wasn't there after 6 years at a younger age because his
Right.
brain was failing him. Joe Biden's brain failed him the moment he became a senator in 1972. So, you know, he had a much longer
Yeah.
period of cognitive
Right.
stupidity. Yeah.
So
Anyway,
so it's just normal for Joe Biden. They're like, no, that's just Joe. He's not no cognitive decline. That's him.
and look how they covered it up. You know, there's nothing wrong with the president. He didn't even sign the damn documents. They're all being declared illegal, null and void.
Right.
These pardons are going to be wiped out because an auto pen signed it. The guy had no idea where he's at. You know, I mean, I love the stories about, you know, Corn Pop, man. He was a bad dude. Yeah, no, little black kids used to play with the hairs on my leg. You creepy bastard.
Yeah.
You know, you can't own a 7-Eleven in Delaware unless you have a slight Indian accent. Whoa, that's not racist. No, guess not.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I remember riding what is it? I don't know if it's the Acela or whatever. Riding the train basically out to Delaware.
It's Acela, yep, up to Delaware.
And him reading classified documents, and it's like, here we are. It's myself, the mill aide, and of course the physician and the nurse traveling, trying to create a buffer around him, trying to create distance between the other passengers who are all looking over the shoulder. What's he reading? Now, mind you, if they had a camera like I have here in my hand, an iPhone 14 or whatever that we have now, 17s, they'd be able to zoom right in. But back then, it was little crappy flip phones. So I was tasked by the mill aide to kind of stand up behind him to block people being able to read documents as he's reading them. And I'm like, can you not tell him to just put them down? He's like, I've asked him to. And he goes, and he said, quote, "These are all friends of mine on here. It's not a big deal." And I'm like, son of a gun, reading classified documents. And he said that. So
yeah, absolutely. That guy is just a clown. You know, we were talking about California earlier. I just want to go back to that very quickly here. So they are doing exactly what they said last night. The leftist news outlets were moaning that they had to find votes. Remember that? He said Trump said they got to find votes, and they called him a criminal because of that. Well, they are finding the votes in Los Angeles. Karen Bass, who last night was leading 34 to Spencer Pratt with 31.7 or something like that, close. When they had 50%. Now we're 63% of the vote. And look at the shift here. She's at 35% now. She's gone up. And Neetha Raman has also gone up. So this is going to be a runoff of the top two finishers. Spencer Pratt gone from 31% down to 29.9%. And the gap is closed to just 37,000, less than 37,000 votes between. I don't think she's going to overtake him. But the Democrats are busy, I don't know, filling out forms or filling out ballots or whatever they're doing, stuffing box right now. They're trying to find the votes. It is disgraceful that a day later, we're only at 63% of the votes counted in Los Angeles. How is this possible? How do we have third world countries in Africa that don't have electricity that have more secure, more reliable, and quicker results from their elections than we can get from the state of California? It shows you just how badly Democrats are. We didn't have these problems in 1980 when Republicans ran the state, 1984 when Reagan won the state, when 1988 when George Bush Sr. won the state. These problems started when Democrats took over the state in the early 1990s, and they've gotten worse. It's embarrassing. The third world is better equipped to handle elections than California.
I think most elections, when they're counting votes, especially in a federal election, it does take days to actually make the count, but they call it because they're reaching a point that you're shaking your head no, Chris. So evidently I'm on the wrong path here.
No, I get what you're saying, counting votes, but no, this is precincts reporting in. Mm-hmm. Only 63% of the precincts have reported in. That's the problem. How are precincts not reporting their vote totals in? You know, you're right. It does take days to count absentee ballots, but this has been complicated by this fraudulent mail-in ballot garbage. But the point here is that this is easily achieved. If a country that has no electricity and is in a desert can do this the next day, why can California not do it? Because it's corrupt. The whole process is corrupt.
Yeah, no, you make a point there. I mean, if the precincts aren't reporting in by now, they should already have their tallies that evening. So, yeah, they should have already made their reports, and it's just a matter of the state doing its thing.
Yeah, 100%. No, I wasn't disagreeing with you. I'm just shaking my head like I can't believe that they can't get this done. That was my shaking my head there.
Oh,
right. Also, Republicans defy Johnson to advance Democrat-backed Ukraine aid. I guess it was a 218 to 204 vote. So they're going to keep sending aid, I guess, to Ukraine. That happened today as well. Anyway.
So I did want to get you on something else, Chris. I'm looking at a lot of people are complaining about this one. I see this on social media. So, and this would be more, I think you could answer this better than I or Todd could, obviously, is the Israeli military integration or the NDAA they're working on now. And so it looks like it involves a lot of technology and resources and stuff that we're integrating a lot of Israel with the United States, and there are a lot of people having issues with it. Some of those were listed as Section 224 would require the U.S. Defense Secretary to appoint an executive agent, a single official to coordinate military cooperation between the U.S. and Israel. That isn't so much like an issue. The work would cover joint research and development, the shared production of weapons, and the linking of military systems and data. And a concern is a new section of the law in the National Defense Authorization Act would give Israel unprecedented access to American technology and would force the United States military to integrate Israel defense technologies into our own critical military supply chain, giving Israel incredible leverage over America's own defense priorities. Now, before you go off complete and total, I'll tell you that was Josh Paul. They were quoting on that one. So,
okay. So first off, the problem I have with this is the misrepresentation, not by you, but by the media, what the term means. They're using integration. What was reported in the media is that U.S. and Israeli militaries are integrating. They're not. We're not subjecting the 82nd Airborne, the 18th Airborne Corps to working through Israeli defense structures. That is not happening. The misuse of the term integration. What it is defense cooperation in the technological sector. Now, they're concerned about Israel having leverage over us. Have they noticed that 90% of the microprocessors that go in the stealth fighter come from Taiwan? You want to talk about leverage over a country? Taiwan. Without Taiwan and Japan, we couldn't fly our advanced stealth fighters or launch many of our missiles because we've outsourced all of our microprocessors to those countries. There are exceptions, PCs, and graphics cards now. But the things that we rely on for the 0 point and for the location, for the precision bombing, come from Taiwan. They're worried about Israel having leverage over us. What a joke. That is an absolute joke. Yes, we will have cooperation. I think people are ignorant of the fact that we didn't have UAVs, drones. That technology came from Israel. I know because I was there on the ground floor in 1989, 1990, when we were building the Pioneer at Fort Huachuca, Arizona, and doing it with advice and expertise and assistance from the IDF, because they have been using drones starting in the 1970s, testing them and using the 80s. So this has been going on for decades. This is, to me, a red herring. It's something to pay attention to, but it's not what they're making it out to be. They're making it out to be as if we're going to be tied to Israel. We are not tied to Israel. We are more tied and dependent on Taiwan and Japan than we are in Israel. And that's not going to change anytime soon. So that's my take on it. I think this is a lot of people stirring a pot, not knowing what they're talking about. There is legitimate concerns here, but there's bigger concerns about being dependent on Canada and Taiwan and Japan, for example.
Yeah, no, I definitely see a lot of stuff coming from, what do we call these now? I call it from the turncoat media, but I see people that follow this sort of rhetoric, and now all of a sudden they're bellowing on social media about how they're selling us out to Israel. I'm so sick and tired of hearing it, because they're not selling us out to Israel. Israel has no control of the president. The president's not wrapped around his little finger. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, the president of the United States of America just recently said that Netanyahu is crazy. So,
yes.
I mean, in fact, he pretty much chewed the guy out.
He told him that in a telephone call.
Yes, he chewed him out in more ways than one during the whole conversation. It wasn't just that. There was other things going on where Netanyahu was, do you think that Netanyahu kind of gets us into trouble because of our policies and stuff, that he's dragging us into circumstances? Or do you think that Netanyahu just is kind of getting a little off the edge and going places he shouldn't be going? Because evidently Trump wasn't happy with him regarding such matters as Hezbollah.
Well, the reason he was unhappy is because the Israelis are defending themselves, and it's allowing Iran to have an excuse to murder civilians in Kuwait and in the UAE and places like that. They're once again violating the ceasefire. Just bomb the Assad up. Enough of this. I'm done with it. It's time. SEAL Team 6, Delta Force, drop them in, round these clowns up, put them on little black helicopters, fly them out, and let's have some war crimes trials. In the meantime, bomb the living daylights out of the IRGC and just get this over with. Just get this over with. Land on Karg Island, take over the facility, shut down the oil production exportation, and this theocracy will starve to death in a matter of days. Raid their banks and take all the dollars that are hidden in their basement out of there. Take them back.
Mm-hmm. I think what people don't realize is Iran just bombed a Kuwaiti airport, an international airport.
The airport right. in Kuwait City, yes.
Yeah, and
murdered a civilian.
yes, people died and 63 people were injured. This is a violation of international law. You're not supposed to be bombing citizen populated areas.
That
Just for
is
what
not
reason?
that is not a legitimate military target. There are no U.S. military aircraft flying from there. It's not being used to attack Iran. This is a rogue state, and the fact that members of Congress side with them, this is disgusting. These are the same people who probably thought it was appropriate for things like affirmative action, a racist piece of legislation that discriminated against majority Americans and led to decades of acrimony, racial acrimony, and led to decades of failure by those who profited from it most, who were ill prepared to go to university or take on government jobs or handed to them that they weren't qualified for, all in the name of fixing a past wrong. You don't fix past wrongs with present and future wrongs. You fix past wrongs by putting resources to correct the deficiency that's been there forever. That's what you do. You do not give people artificial advantage. And it's the same thing here. These people do not care about America. They will try to hamper the administration from stopping a war that Iran started in 1979, which Carter ignored, Reagan ignored, Bush ignored, Clinton ignored, Bush ignored, Obama ignored, Trump ignored, not so much. He did go after Iran a little bit. Biden ignored. And now here we are, nearly 5 decades later, finally returning fire against a rogue regime which has murdered thousands of American service members and civilians and sponsored chaos and carnage in Lebanon with Hezbollah, in Gaza and with Hamas, and in Yemen with the Houthis at a minimum. It is time for these people to be removed from humanity because they are anti-human. And enough of this pussyfooting. I'm done with it, Trump. Start launching right now. Where's the button? Push the button. Give me the button. Give me the button.
Yeah.
Who's got the football?
That was easy. That was easy.
Todd, that would be you. Who's got the football, bro? You must know. him.
So, a mill-aid somewhere.
Yeah.
I think I left it in the Starbucks.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no. But anyway, the Senate, people were talking about in the comments here, obviously 100 members, majority is 53, that's Republicans, 53 Republicans, 47 in the minority, that's 45 Dems, 2 independents, and over in the House, there's a majority of 218, 217 Republicans, 1 independent caucus with Republicans, and then 212 Dems, and 5 vacancies in the House as of right now. So, of course, the entire House will be up this coming November, and a third of the Senate will be up this November. So, yeah, anything can happen at this point, though.
Well, the Democrats don't have much of a chance to take the Senate. They think they do.
I don't think so.
In
Yeah,
fact,
I don't think they do.
Even the New York Times, to be honest, it says, here's the subject came out an hour ago. The narrow path to Democratic Senate runs through a very red states. Democrats cheer there is a way, even as new worries emerge over whether Graham Plattner can flip a Maine seat. Republicans remain confident they'll prevail in Texas, Iowa, and Alaska. So it's not a path that the Democrats have a good chance. They have a better shot at taking the House, but that has been handicapped because the Supreme Court keeps overturning racist laws that make for artificial fake districts to guarantee that we have black representatives as in creating black districts, which is unconstitutional. It's not equal protection under the 14th Amendment. So the Senate is not going unless they collapse. It's not going to happen. The House is possible, but I think that the gerrymandering is going to prevent the event. By the way, Ashley Hinson, from a distance, quite a hottie there. The people in Iowa will vote for her just because she's a hottie. Trust me. I used to live there. Right. Anyway.
It's like I used to live there.
I used to live
you know all the hotties in Iowa. Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't know the hotties in Iowa. I just know how people in Iowa vote, man.
Right?
No, but seriously, what about this wackadoodle in Texas? I actually think that Tallarico is going to pass Ted Cruz. I mean, give me a break. Tallarico says there's like, he's got these weird ideas about God, in a state full of Baptists and even Muslims who are conservative. You think it's going to pass? Catholics? No way. Never going to happen. And then he's all this, this 6 genders and all this stuff. This guy is running from all of his wackadoodle leftist stuff. People like that have no morals. They have no principles. They will say whatever they have to say to get elected. They will do whatever they have to do to get elected, and then they'll collect their paycheck and run their mouths. That's all they'll do. That's exactly what this guy will do. That's exactly what Warnock did in Georgia. That's exactly what Ossoff did in Georgia. Warnock and Ossoff did in Georgia just to get elected. They said whatever they had to, and they did nothing in the Senate. They're both Democrats. Neither one of them should be in office, but we had feckless Republican candidates in the name of Perdue and Kelly Loeffler. Both useless losers who cost us 2 Senate seats and control the Senate because they can't campaign to save their way. Rich, privileged little turds who don't know how to do their job. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I mumble there? Did I not clearly state my view on Kelly Loeffler and on Purdue? I think so.
Yeah. So what are you guys seeing up that way with Graham Plattner over in Maine? What a nutter that guy is, right?
Yeah, that's the one where they thought they were going to get that seat from, the Democrat who pretends to be Republican, Susan Collins, but that ain't going to happen either. That's
No, yeah, she's gonna walk right back into that because
right. We're stuck with her and Lisa Murkowski for the foreseeable future.
Right. Yeah. But they know how to speak the talk the talk and walk the walk. They know what people. She knows what people in Maine want. I think she's right in line with them. I don't think they're going to dump her for this guy. He's a punk. It's what I'm seeing. Right. Just a bully.
He seems like a wackadoodle.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about this guy. I got to look him up. It seems to me I heard somebody was running against her, and I heard something about him, but I don't remember any details on it.
There's something like some posts on social media going back to like 2003 or something when he joined the Marines. He's like all gung ho about signing up or something like that, fighting wars. And then all of a sudden now in his campaign where he's saying like, you voted to send me to war. It's like you signed up to go to war there, guy.
Oh, geez.
Yeah,
that's a typical politician, right?
Yeah.
Let me address a little chat stuff coming in here, okay? So prices down to day one. Any idiot that actually believed the prices would drop on day one of the Trump administration is brain dead, doesn't deserve the right to vote. Obviously, it takes time for prices to come down. Remember, 10 days after Trump came over, they blamed him for $9 a carton or a dozen for eggs.
Right,
the eggs were that way because 60 million hens were slaughtered bogusly for fake avian influenza by the Biden regime, intentionally driving up the price to sabotage Trump. Yeah, they killed 60 million hens with no reason whatsoever. Those prices come back down. It's $1.99, $2.99 for a dozen now. Russia war ended on day one. Anyone who thought the Russia war was going to end on day one was deluding themselves. No new wars? There are no new wars. Trump hasn't started any new wars. Iran started this war in 1979. So no new wars. No Norse. Why did he say to get elected? Oh my! Why did he say to get elected? Do you live in the real world, friend? Do you live in reality? do you actually? I mean, do you wake up in the morning on the same planet, the same existence, the same universe the rest of us are on? Why did he say Trump is a politician? He got away with the first time saying I'm not a politician, but clearly he's a politician in his second term as president and 12 years in running for office. Come on, man. Come on, as Joe would say. Come on, let me sniff your hair. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Come on. Why did he say it to get elected? Why else?
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people are accusing Trump for doing things that he's really not heavily involved with, or kind of like Palantir, right? He's invested into Palantir, and a lot of people are saying, well, he's invested in Palantir, and he's doing things to benefit from his investments. And I don't exactly think that's right. And I don't know if you know about this or not, Chris. You might know something about Detachment 201 Executive Innovation Corps.
Yeah, what about it?
A lot of people think that that's a Trump move, is what they think. And they're accusing him of setting up private sector into the U.S. military. So basically, they take 4 tech guys, one from Palantir, one from Meta, one from, I forgot the other 2. But the point is, and they give them a rank of lieutenant colonel. They did have to go through some training, but they bypassed basic training. They bypassed all the other ranks and got a rank in the reserve, not in the full-time military status. They're required to put in like 100 hours a year or something like that into this, 120 hours a year, something to that effect. So basically, they're advisors for technology and AI to help the defense system. And a lot of people are saying, well, Trump did this. It's like, if you go back and look at it, it actually was something that the Pentagon was looking at in 2023 under Biden. It just went into effect last year under Trump.
So as far as that goes, a little newsflash for people that are buying into this controversy. First off, officers do not attend basic training. We do not go to basic training in any service. We have a commissioning source in ROTC. You go to advanced camp, which is a 6-week camp. And trust me, advanced camp ain't basic training. I've been to basic training. I've been to advanced camp. It's a cakewalk compared to it. And those who go to officer candidate school, that's a lot harder. That's like 3 months long. But we have a long history of direct commission. In fact, in the Civil War, most of our officers were direct commission.
Right.
They're usually politicians who are influential, and that's why they became the lieutenant colonels and the colonels.
Right. Or people with money that can, they
exactly.
can raise an army.
So they bought themselves a commission. You could buy a commission at one point for the U.S. military. So there is a long tradition. Our attorneys are normally direct commission. People go to law school and they come in either as a first lieutenant or as a captain right away. Most of our physicians, our doctors, are direct commission. They don't. They get a little charm school. It's a couple weeks, to how to put your rank on, what a salute means. It's not basic training. So taking people in the technology sector and doing the same thing for a critical field like we do for dentists, doctors, lawyers, chaplains is no different. The problem with people that don't know jack squat about the military or how it functions, they run their mouth and make up stories to try to distract people from reality. This is, to me, just like the story about the U.S. military is integrating with the Israelis. No, we're not. That's the wrong verb to use. U.S. military, or DARPA specifically, is working with the Israelis, just like they're working with the Taiwanese and Japanese on advanced defense things. That's where the cooperation comes. In this case here, people know what they're talking about. I don't have a problem with someone being appointed as a major or lieutenant colonel direct commission. And whether they're reserve or not doesn't matter, because the reserve officers come on active duty. The vast majority of Army officers, when they start their careers, are reserve component officers. I was an exception. West Pointers are all regular Army. When they get commissioned, they're automatically in the end strength of the regular Army, which is small for commissioned officers, only a few tens of thousands or 18,000, something like that. The rest are reserve officers brought on active duty for periods of time. When I came on active duty, I had earned that, but I don't get it immediately. I have to wait until they approve it because it has to go to Congress to say he's regular Army. So I got approved for commission. I came on as a reserve officer for about 6 months while that process went on, while politicians ran their mouths, and they finally signed it. And then in February of 1990, I was a regular Army officer. And that's a limited number of people who are regular Army. And that's what I was for the rest of my career. So these are people that don't know what they're talking about by and large. And, I don't have a problem with that. I don't think Todd has a problem with either. If the only people that can help us with AI are people that we get to come to our cause and work with us by giving them a direct commission as a lieutenant colonel or a major if they're younger, I have no problem with that. They're not on a command track. They're not going to be commanding anything. They're experts, just like warrant officers. So that's my position on that, Todd. John.
That's about it. The most you may see these people is if you happen to be where they work, like in a hospital, a clinic, like you talked about, or at some sort of facility where they train people, or I don't know, repair things like that, and get people ready to deploy. They're not going to be commanding people in combat. They're not going to be there whenever stuff starts to blow up. I mean, you're not going to be looking to them like, hey, lead us out of this. They're going to be like, I don't know how. No, you're not going to be looking to them. They're not going to be there. They're there to fill the role. And plus, we get it a lot cheaper than if we had to contract somebody to do it. You get that person for a fraction of the cost.
We also get them under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, so we can prosecute them much easier.
Yes.
There's no double jeopardy. You can be prosecuted for murder or for treason in the military, and then be prosecuted in civilian court as well. So it has a lot of advantages. So Todd, let me ask you this question: how many times have you been to Jefferson Proving Ground, Toole Army Depot in Utah, or Aberdeen Proving Ground? Have you been to any of those places?
Aberdeen, that's about it. My brother was stationed at Aberdeen, but that's
you probably visited.
Yeah, that was just like one time in and out.
Those are the places you're going to see people like that, or they're going to be at Space Command, or they're going to be, somewhere like that. Look, it's once again, this is a red herring, because
we were at Vandenberg. This was several years ago with Pence, and I was advancing Pence, and my site was the launch facility and all that. And so walking around there and seeing all these, field grade officers and this and that, I'm like, man, it's almost like the Pentagon. It's overload, and they're all just like, hey Chad, pop, 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 and it's like, these aren't people out in the field leading troops. These guys are looking for the defect, looking for the launch button, things like that, But they're there performing a very professional role that we need. And if it costs, put pin on a major or lieutenant colonel, I'm okay with that because we get them for a fraction of the cost.
And a major cost $80,000-$90,000 a year plus a little bit. Let's say $250,000 the total cost. What is it going to cost us to hire executives in the AI field who don't wear the uniform, aren't subject to the UCMJ,
$500,000 or more?
We can't send them wherever we want with orders. We just have to hope that they cooperate with us from Silicon Valley or from Cambridge, Massachusetts. I don't think people get the importance of this. Plus, being part of a team in the uniform is a commitment, and it's just awesome. So John, these people, I don't know where they get this stuff from, but they really don't know much about our government or about how things work. And I just dismiss that.
That's why I'm looking at things. I see what people are saying on social media, and I have not served, and I know the two of you have, and you would have greater insight than I would. So instead of me trying to explain things on social media and being inept about it, I figure I bring it to the show, and now we got some great idea.
So let me ask Todd, because Todd was enlisted his whole career. I was enlisted, then a commissioned officer, and so Todd, anything I just explained about the way those officers are brought on or what happens, is there anything you think I misstated or you disagree with?
I think you're probably spot on. I mean, if you missed something, it was an honest mistake.
Now, Todd, you got to realize you're in civilian life now. He was the colonel, but you can't tell me
Hey,
he was
don't be
wrong.
undermining my command authority on this show.
How dare you?
Oh, man.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no. That was a little disturbing. You said if you missed something, it wasn't intentional. It makes it sound like I did miss something.
No, I'm saying if you did, and I
Okay.
happen to not know,
Okay.
Chris is
Just
usually
checking.
spot on. I mean, he knows his business when he talks about
Yeah.
something. He's pretty reliable.
Well, tell that to the people that didn't vote for me 2 years ago.
Oh,
That's what I'm talking about.
Although if you disagree with me on AI data centers, I might get a little edgy. I'm not sure. I may get a little edgy. I don't know.
Look, I mean, this is so. There has been a study recently released about who's behind this. There is big money behind stopping these data centers, and guess where it's coming from? Want to take a guess where it's coming from?
Uh-oh. Yeah, no, I don't. I'd rather just know.
China.
Oh, imagine
China.
that. Who's probably ahead of us because they're using a lot of these data centers to operate their cities and stuff. And
Well, they're sabotaging their industrial base. They're committing industrial espionage. They're stealing our secrets when it comes to AI, graphics, things like that, polymers, all this advanced robotics. They've got thousands of spies. We just got it was not Altadena, what's Arcadia mayor confessed, and she took a guilty plea for spying for China, being an agent of a foreign government. She was the mayor of Arcadia. Isn't that where the fire was out there, real close to it in Los Angeles?
right,
Anyway.
somewhere out there.
I'm
they have
glad you bring
research,
this up, Chris.
Yeah,
Yeah,
have research facilities in that area or anything?
I'm not somewhere near there. What were you saying? Why are you glad I brought it up, John? Sorry.
No, but I'm glad you bring it up because, we knew Operation Mockingbird. We know Operation Mockingbird was real. It was genuine. It was something the government did to manipulate the way people think by controlling news agencies. And a lot of conspiracy theorists or people that recognize these conspiracies say, wow, what a terrible thing. They get on board with it and they rally about it. Did they never stop to think, even though we've been told about the manipulations in social media, do they never stop to think they're being played in social media to manipulate the way they think to sway public opinion against officials?
Well, quite frankly, the way people behave on social media, I don't think anybody needs to be swayed. I think the intelligence quotient has been greatly diminished across the planet as a consequence of things like Twitter and other social media like Facebook. It's shocking to me how people respond there with no reason, no forethought, no analysis. The lack of critical thinking skills is shocking for me. And that extends every aspect of society from people. I have someone that I know who I had a good relationship with, and I received an email, an account that I only used to set up elections because they'd help with elections. And they sent me a nasty email earlier this year in January saying, what the hell is wrong with Donald Trump, trying to, because this person comes from Denmark originally, came to America, and basically sent me this really nasty email blaming me, like, what is in some wild language. And I didn't respond because I didn't see it, because I don't check that account but twice a year when I send out messages for elections. That's not, and the person who did it has my personal email account and my phone number and lives 300 meters from my house and couldn't bother knocking my door or call me or send me a text message, but sent me an account I'll see. So 3 days later, because I didn't respond, sent me a nasty, profane message, chewing me out for not responding. Well, I guess, it blew me off. And then I find it months later when I'm trying to set up for the election just recently, and I'm like, I'm sorry, what was this about? Yeah. I mean, this is a rational person who's smart, who's making high six-figure income, has a beautiful house, 3 times the size of my house, and a lovely, lovely situation, immigrant this country, very successful. And his discourse was founded on emotion about something that he has nothing to do with, or that I have nothing to do with, and blaming me for something Donald Trump did. This is irrational. Look, he could have written me and said, hey, or call me, what do you think of this? I think this is crazy. What is Trump up to? But, I have nothing to do with the Trump administration. And why would you presume I would back the Greenland thing? I do. I would have invaded a long time ago, but that's just me.
Well, you want to be viceroy. You had an angle.
That's right. The viceroy. I want that job. No, but the emotional response, Todd, the way people behave, they're like petulant children.
Yeah, that is an issue. People got to stop being emotional thinkers and get on board with critical thinking, logic, and reasoning. That would help a lot. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a top of the hour break, and we'll be back with you.
Broadcasting from 200 Main Street in the beautiful and historic Masonic Building. This is WSMN 1590 AM and WSMN 95.3 FM, Nashua. Streaming live at wsmn.live.
USA Radio News, I'm Anthony Lucero. Secretary of State Marco Rubio faced more questions on the Iran conflict during the second day of testimony on Capitol Hill.
We're no longer conducting sustained strikes inside of Iran to degrade their military because epic fury is over. We defined victory as destroying their defense industrial base, significantly reducing the number of missile launchers that they possess, significantly reducing their stockpile of drones.
Rubio defended the administration's handling of the war, saying Iran's military capabilities have been degraded while maintaining that peace talks with Tehran remain active. In a rebuke to President Trump, 4 House Republicans joined Democrats to pass a war powers resolution aimed at ending the U.S. involvement in the 3-month-old conflict with Iran. James Jeffrey is a former U.S. ambassador to both Iraq and Turkey.
The American public and the international community, even though so far the oil increases have not been dramatic, they've been enough to be noticed, to hurt people, and people just want this thing to end.
The measure now heads to the Senate, though any effort to limit the president's authority would likely face a veto. President Trump is lamenting the apparent end of the so-called anti-weaponization fund.
The weaponization fund was a beautiful thing. It was something I didn't make it, but I heard that. I thought that was the greatest thing.
The $1.7 billion fund was established by the Justice Department to reimburse people who suffered weaponization and lawfare under the Biden administration. It was halted by the courts. There were reports that some of the people who participated in the January 6 Capitol riots would be getting money from the fund. On Wednesday, Trump said people came to his January 6 rally with love, and since then they've been abused, leading some to commit suicide. I'm Lisa Carton.
Wall Street closed lower.
At the closing bell, the Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 620 points. The S&P 500 fell 56 points, and the Nasdaq dropped 239 points. I'm Sarah Lee Kessler.
From America's News Network, USA Radio News.
Maybe this is you too. There's enormous frustration right now with healthcare costs. It is amazing. Healthcare costs for families in the last 20 years have almost tripled. And it just keeps getting worse. All this to say, this is why MediShare is so in demand right now. People are looking for alternatives. And MediShare is proven. You can save thousands of dollars a year and actually like it more. Over 1 million Americans are now part of healthcare sharing, and MediShare is the gold standard. It's trusted. It works. It's been helping people save money and have peace of mind now for 30 plus years. It's not some big impersonal thing either. It's a community of people like you helping each other. So yeah, if you're frustrated too, here's your chance to make a refreshing change. You'll notice the difference as soon as you call. They're easy to talk to. You can get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number. Call 855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE 40. 855-SHARE-40.
Tired of wondering where your money really goes? At Mammoth Nation, we built what was missing. The America First Marketplace. Every brand we feature is 100% American owned and operated. Rigorously vetted for their values and committed to supporting our Constitution, law enforcement, and the American dream. When you shop with us, your dollar stays in the neighborhood, supporting families, veterans, and charities like Folds of Honor. No more sending your hard-earned money overseas to the companies that don't respect you here. Your dollar reflects your values. Your dollar, your values. Your America. Join Mammoth Nation today and be part of building a patriot economy by going to truckersunitedforfreedom.com affiliate page and hit that link. American built, America strong, Mammoth Nation.
H.com. I look forward to hearing from you. And remember, health is wealth.
Continuing the legacy started in 1904, Roger Pellerin of Gate City Monument Incorporated continues to provide the same high-quality monument, custom headstone, and stoneworking craftsmanship today that they built their reputation on over 100 years ago, servicing Nashua, New Hampshire, as well as nearby areas in Massachusetts, such as Lowell, Billerica, Chelmsford, and beyond. From creating custom monuments to memorialize, to landscaping and granite work or restorative services, each job is done to your satisfaction and is backed by decades of experience and integrity. If you're thinking about stonework, think Roger Pellerin of Gate City Monument. Visit online at gatecitymonument.com. Stop by and meet Roger at 321 West Hollis Street in Nashua, or call 603-883-71 7141. That's 603-883-7141. Gates City Monument, memorials of distinction for people who care.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're just now tuning in, you're listening to the Common Sense Conservatives right here, WSMN 1590, 95.3 on your FM dial. We're just having an open panel discussion here with Chris, Todd, myself. And you want to make sure you catch us next week when we have Dr. Dan Stock on. He's going to talk to us about the Citizens Council on Legislature Accountability. So we don't want to miss that one. It's going to be a good one. You know, gentlemen, we had Dr. Stock on before when he was talking to us about accountable care organizations, and he'd stood up in Indiana against the school board and things like that. And he got highly criticized for what he had done and he's an immunologist. And so when he was talking about the spicy cough, as Chris likes to call it, thanks to YouTube, so he was highly criticized for speaking about something he's an expert in, which I think is kind of interesting that so many people who don't understand immunology are going to criticize one guy who's an expert speaking to us about immunology and trying to steer us in the right direction. So he'll be on next week, and Todd, you have the lead then. So, we look forward to that conversation with him.
Sounds good. Look forward to it.
What do we got up next here? Oh.
So do you guys see
your microphone?
Do you guys see that the Texas Secretary of State is resigning next month? According to Newsmax, the top election official in Texas will leave her post next month. Jane Nelson announced her resignation this week, effective Friday, July 17th, months before the 2026 midterm elections, which will feature a marquee U.S. Senate race between Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton and a Republican and State Representative James Tallarico, a Democrat. Interesting. I'm just wondering what prompted the resignation, or I mean, what's the deal there? Just don't want the responsibility, or want to get out of the way before the election? Let somebody else jump in there. I don't know. Kind of odd.
It's a good question. I don't know what her reasoning for it is. I haven't heard anything, so it's hard to say.
Just announced, I believe, by Newsmax there. So just reading out the headline there in the top paragraph. Just interesting. You have such a heated Senate race coming up, and they're going to be looking to you, to kind of make sure that that's run smoothly, and you're going to step away from it, just months as everybody's gearing up, I don't want to say it's suspect, but it is kind of like, man, timing is everything, right?
Yeah, it's an odd time to happen, but we've seen stranger things in politics. So sometimes there's something behind it. We learn later on that somebody did something wrong or inappropriate. Sometimes we find out, like with Tulsi Gabbard, her husband's got cancer, things happen. So, and then with Pam Bondi, we're not happy with her, but now we find out Pam Bondi, had throat cancer. So, I mean,
Here we were being told that she got canned, and I don't think that's the case concerning.
And Trump didn't make it seem as if she was being canned like that. Like, she's fired, get her out of here, And even with Tulsi Gabbard, it wasn't like that either. It was like, oh, she's going to leave, and then all of a sudden, everybody started saying it's because he's unhappy, and maybe that is part of it, perhaps. But at the same time, you find out there are health issues at stake here. So, what's the truth? Right?
We don't always have the full picture,
right?
I mean, so hard to say.
Yep. I mean, we can comment on what do you think in the moment based on up-to-date information. You can give your opinion on that. And that's kind of what we do here. We never say this is a matter of fact. We say this is what I think. This is my thoughts on this. And that's kind of where we go from there, right?
Yeah, it's a fair point.
We give our opinions, basically. We're not saying everything that we say is matter of fact 100%, but we do our best.
As the show makes the disclaimer,
is right.
As the show makes the disclaimer, the views and the opinions are those of the host.
I'm helping out. They put our picture on the wall downstairs, by the way. I'm helping out the station now.
Yeah, I was trying to open up with that picture. I was trying to open up with that picture and as a cover, and on our social media side of things, and for some reason it was transparent so that everybody could see us. So I changed it to something else.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why that's happening with this platform, but it's happening.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, it's a good look. It's a good photo. I like it. And I looked at all the other shows that are on there as well. So they look pretty good. They did a really great job.
Yeah, I thought George, he was in here and you guys uploaded or sent me your images to give him, and he whipped that out in no time. I don't know what kind of program he's using for that, but software or whatever. But yeah, that's it's a pretty good job, I think. The pictures all look nice here in the studio. I don't know if people ever get a chance to come up here and see the inside of the studio, but yeah, we got a whole wall of show host in the studio here in the green room.
Right.
As long as it's the wall of fame and not the wall of shame.
Well, so far nobody's told us we did anything to shame ourselves. So
all right. Well,
no, for sure. And you know, WSMN's been on the air since March 9th, 1958. By the way.
Mm-hmm. It's a very old radio station, and
yeah, very cool.
It's been moved a couple
times. Be on
times.
the air here for sure.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So I know Trump's birthday, and the reason why I know is not because I'm a great big fan exactly, though I do approve a lot of what Trump does and appreciate his hard works and his efforts. Was it June 14th or 13th? I thought it was the 13th.
June 14th. It's
14th.
Flag Day. It's the Army's birthday. It's his birthday.
So in honor of Trump's birthday, the No Kings protest is going to be happening. Let's see how they word this. As America approaches its 250th anniversary, we have a choice about what story we tell. We can let strongman politics and corruption define the moment, or we can make the story of America about people coming together across race, background, identity, belief, and community, defend our rights and build our future rooted in the people's power. On June 14th, we rise up and we sing out and we keep organizing. Now, I thought Trump was the candidate running. I got a little bit of background noise here, but I thought Trump was the candidate running and is the president doing the ending of corruption or undoing corruption in Washington, D.C. Did I miss something there? I mean, do we need the No Kings protest to fight against corruption when you got a whole administration doing it?
No. You know, you got a reflecting pool that's costing how many millions of dollars, but how many millions did it cost Obama? How many millions does it cost us in losing water annually? You know, and all that garbage that's in there. It's horrible. You know, is what he's going to do to it going to last? You know, my entire lifetime? Probably not. Nothing ever does. I mean, it's out in the elements, for crying out loud. But is it going to be better than what it was? I think it probably will be, and I hope it does. If it doesn't, you know, hey, you know, I'll eat my words. Not a big deal. But it needed to be fixed regardless, right?
With the leakage alone, it needed some repair.
It needed to be repaired regardless, right?
But it's getting questionable. Will it be ready by July 4th because of all the repair it needs?
So what if it's not ready? But if it's done right, you know, did we not save a lot of money for the taxpayers? You know, good deal.
Well, no, you're right. You're right. It needed to be done. It would just be unfortunate because he was planning it in repair for the July 4th holiday at the same time. So for the celebration, because he does have things going on. I do believe on the 14th, we're going to have a UFC fight right there at the White House. They're putting up the cage and everything there, the South Lawn. And of course, these people here at No Kings Protest are, you know, they want to have a kumbaya over here. You know, they want to have sing along. I don't know who's putting on the concerts and stuff and who's going to be there, but yeah, they got this group sing along stuff going on the president's birthday. It's like, is this like a back way of celebrating the president's birthday? I mean, you're all kumbaya over here and carrying on. I mean, what's going on here? I mean, passive aggressive birthday party or what? What's happening?
Yeah, passive aggressive. Happy birthday, I guess.
Yeah. Well, look, as I said, Trump's birthday and Flag Day and the Army's birthday all appear on the same day. It's when the United States Army was founded in 1775 on June 14th. So, look, it's going to be a big deal. I mean, you know, this is huge. This we have the 250th anniversary of our nation coming up here, and it's strange how few people are even paying attention to this. That, you know, I mentioned this when I did videos for Memorial Day. I said, you know, when we were kids, the bicentennial was everywhere. It was on cereal boxes. It was on commercials all the time. We saw billboards, banners. Everywhere you went, it was about the bicentennial. Everybody glommed onto it. Now I have to struggle to remind people that this is the 250th anniversary of the greatest country in human history. They just don't seem to care. It's distressing to me.
Yeah.
No, I was last year. I was pumping it all up. Remember, I was there going, yeah, like that 1976 was bicentennial year, and everything was just hot for America. Everybody was like, there was no division. I don't remember. I was probably 8, but I don't remember any. Riding a Huffy bike, yeah, or one of those flimsy fiberglass skateboards, you know.
No, the banana seat, Huffy bikes.
Oh, geez, the banana seats, yeah, with the high rise backrest thingy in the back, yeah. Right. Man, we were riding our bipedal choppers.
Choppers, I love it.
Yeah, so no, it was a fun year. I mean, there was just a lot of enthusiasm for the United States and for the country, and everything advertised on television had to do with America and Uncle Sam, and yeah, we're in division right now. You know, we're dealing with I dubbed it as political warfare when we first started doing this show. I think it's an apt way to describe it. I think that's what this is. I think the left has created a lot of political warfare. They use lawfare in it. Everything they've done is attack Trump and make their accusations against Trump based on things that they themselves are willing to do or already have done.
Right.
Yeah, no, I can't argue with your conclusions about it being warfare. I mean, these people don't love America. That's the bottom line.
No.
Look, these things should be discussed in private, but they rush to the podium. They pull this crap all the time, just like when they said Trump called, Africa crap hole countries. That's not what Trump said. But they didn't care. They just rushed out to the podium and ran their mouths from a private conversation that was classified because they just don't care.
Nope.
Right. Absolutely, for sure. And it's funny is the number of the things that Trump does and says, and it's like, yeah, I could possibly get on board with you, but the alternative is you guys, the Democrats. It's like you're the alternative. That's why I can't get on board with anything that you say. None of it. Crazy. Even stuff that Trump says that I'm like, yeah, I probably wouldn't have said that or wouldn't have done that. But at the same time, I'm not going to go out and rebuke everything that he says because I'm like, he's more rational than you are, the Democrats. Far, far more rational.
Yeah, no doubt about that. My goodness.
He's amazing, actually, the plan he's executed as of yet. I know that it's obvious in those 4 years he had time off. He's been working with the Republican Party, and together they have strategized a plan for his return. And this is why he's just so effective, because they already knew what they were going to do once he gets into office, how they were going to effectuate what it is they needed to do to right this country, to bring this country back where it should be, as opposed to. And funny thing about it is a lot of his policies, I mean, as conservatives in the old days, I mean, jobs for America, I guess conservatives were never against jobs. It was just more or less, they didn't support unions and things like that the way the left did. But
well, look, it's the funny thing is now the left is claiming the mantle of working labor, of the middle class man. That's what they've been hanging their hat on for 70 years, 100 years. Guess who supports who now? Union workers, dock workers, automobile workers, they support Trump. And he's completely flipped the script. And the left is just a bunch of blue bloods and pink-haired lunatics with freaking cow piercings through their nose like they're livestock. And they just, it's completely flipped. The left has lost its mind, and they've lost the middle class. And Trump has gained the middle class. And that's why Republicans do so well, because he has the middle class.
So do you feel like the left was trying to diminish? I mean, this is what most people's take on it is. The left has been working for a long time now to diminish the United States, reduce its value, and bring it to a third world, like leveling a playing field. Instead of bringing everybody up to your level, it's bringing the United States down to like third world level.
Oh, they definitely want to bring America down. They don't really care. It's just shameful. It's, how people can be so self-loathing and work against their own self-interest is beyond me, but it happens all the time. And how they tell these lies about America, about evil America is and all the things we've never done. They blame us for it. It's just really sad,
No, you're right. It is.
Absolutely. Well, we got somebody asking about how can a jet the government spent so much money on retrofitting be transferred to the presidential library instead of being kept and used. Talking about the Air Force One aircraft that was a gift by what country was it again?
From Oman?
Yeah, Oman. Thank you. Yeah, correct. So essentially what you have right now with one aircraft, SAM 28000, a VC-25 Alpha, which is used as Air Force One, commonly referred to as Air Force One. It's one of the 747-200 models. It came on, his first flight was during Reagan's time in office, 1987. George H.W. Bush, 41, was the first to fly on it. So now you got to think, from the late 80s, early 90s, that aircraft's been flying, and it's served, 7 presidents now. It's time to basically get rid of that one. We have two new aircraft that are supposed to be coming on, VC-25 Bravos, and then SAM 29000 will also go out of service as well and be replaced. But those 2 new aircraft aren't quite ready yet, and I think this aircraft from Oman is a Band-Aid fix, if you will, because the 2 aircraft that are flying right now should have been retired several years ago at this point. So whenever those two new aircraft get on board, essentially that's all you need to cover the presidency is two aircraft, the 89th Airlift, White House Military Office, and of course Presidential Air Group. That's what they'll tell you is two aircraft essentially to cover the presidency. So you won't need those three aircraft. You'll retire 28 and 29000 and this new aircraft from Oman that's coming on board. It won't be needed in the fleet, so you can retire it. And so essentially what will happen is either the Air Force will maintain one of them as a museum piece, and what they'll do, they offer them up to other presidential libraries if they want one. And mind you, it's on loan to them. It's still Air Force property, by the way. So just so everybody knows kind of how that works. And I hope that answered the question in the comments there. Anyway.
Yeah. No, I'm sure that's look, I mean, if people want to see aircraft that are mothballed in a museum, the best place on the planet that I've discovered is Wright-Patterson Air Force Base.
Oh, baby, yes.
The museum there is unbelievable. And all of those were operational aircraft. I mean, most of them, when they were brought into there, they were retired. That's what happens, aircraft. And they're historical, so you keep them and you preserve them. You know, I tell you, if you ever find yourself in Dayton, Ohio, you owe it to yourself to go to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base and visit that museum. Set aside an entire day.
Yeah.
I rushed through it when I was a student there at a course, and I should have spent more time there. I had a crappy phone, had crappy pictures, and I'm going to have to go back to Dayton just to visit that museum again. It's unbelievable. It is the best collection of aircraft on the planet, better than any place I've ever been, and it's just amazing.
Yeah, and there's a Gulfstream in there. It's a former blue and white aircraft. Everybody knows what a blue and white is. It's part of the Presidential Air Group, 89th Airlift. It's also used as Air Force One on occasion. You have SecDef. Other people use it. But a Gulfstream aircraft, and I have flown on that aircraft. And I'm like, man, a museum piece that I've flown on. That's kind of wild. That's weird.
That is a little odd.
Very weird. Yep.
How does that make you feel about your age, Todd?
Oh, wow, a museum piece now, I guess, right? Very cool. And of course, they have, I think it's Kennedy's Air Force One, right? 26000's there. The one they brought him back on is at Wright-Patterson. And then 27000 is the one over at the Reagan Museum, by the way.
Yeah, no, it sounds about right. Yeah, no, it's look at that. That's just an amazing museum. The one I told you about. It's something else, and
right.
people really
and
should. They owe it to themselves to go there.
And they have Boxcar there, which is the second nuke was dropped by Boxcar, and it's right there in the museum. And it's funny, I was walking around. I'm like, I walk right up to it, and I'm like, this looks like one that dropped the nuke. And I look at the name on the side. I'm like, it is the one that dropped the nuke. Boxcar right there.
What was it glowing at night?
No, the city that they dropped it on is still glowing a little bit, maybe.
Probably that stuff lasts for thousands of years, right? Tens of thousands. The radiation poison or the radiation.
Yeah, I don't know what yield those were, and of course, I think a lot of prevailing winds pushed a lot of that out to sea, so that helped a lot.
That's like Fukushima, right? They had that nuclear meltdown, and
right.
I'm just wondering how well is the seafood in Japan after that? I mean, I haven't heard of any Japanese people being born with extra limbs or anything, but
the ocean takes a lot of radiation on a daily basis anyway. It can absorb a lot. The ocean can. I don't know how contaminated it is right around Japan, but the ocean can take a lot. And of course, the way it's disseminated around the globe, it kind of evens out a little bit.
Yeah, so our fishing over here in the United States, we're all like, yeah, I eat tuna. Come right off the coast of wherever, right? And I'm kind of wondering how much of that radiation just kind of migrated over and hit our western shores.
Right.
That they don't talk about, but I'm not, I don't know. You're right. The ocean's big and it can absorb a lot of radiation and parts.
And the way this planet, man, the way Mother Nature is, the way it can regenerate itself. I mean, humans could leave the Earth tomorrow and it'd forget about us in time. It'd be like we were never here. At some point,
would just take back over. The concrete would be gone,
for sure.
and it'd just grow
for
right
sure.
up through
it would be like we were never here. Yeah.
But there's remnants of civilizations from thousands of. I mean, they're finding pyramids and stuff out in the forest where it's overgrown over these pyramids, and they exist. They can recognize them and see what they are.
We're experiencing technical difficulty.
What's this?
Do not disclose that information.
Oh,
I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, they actually have found things. Civilizations.
Sure.
They found civilizations that were buried underground. It's like how does it get underground? I wonder. But then I was seeing something on YouTube or something. Somebody had a channel where they were talking about they actually used to bury their civilization and they come back and dig it up later. I guess when they felt like they're going to be attacked. So I don't know where this was exactly, but to think that a whole civilization of people would do that, they would bury their homes or whatever, their living quarters, and come back for it later.
Right. Well, maybe if they migrate and move different places, maybe they want to come back to that and not have anybody establish a residency, if you will, while they're gone. The early, I guess, what do you call them? Squatters. I guess they wanted to prevent that, right?
Well, I think this was
Well,
people just lacking a defense, and that was their best defense. We'll
No,
just bury
I'm
everything
kidding,
and
I'm
hide.
kidding.
Sometimes Mother Nature helps you out. Remember Pompeii?
Right.
It took care of
That's
hiding
true.
the city.
What a horrible tragedy that must have been. or
Oh, it
was.
must have been horrific. Can you imagine that? The lava falling at people, their bodies frozen in
Right.
time. It's
Better
just
preserved
crazy.
one was Herculaneum, which was nearby. Herculaneum is apparently better preserved, but lesser known.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
Herculaneum
didn't know.
also destroyed by the same volcano.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah. Apparently
let's
better
all
preserved.
migrate and live next to a live volcano. We'll just sacrifice people to the gods.
Right. Well, now we got a nice military base right there, right? Vicenza, is that right? Right near there?
No. That's Naples. It's close.
Naples.
To it.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, Vicenza's is Vicenza's up north. That's where I was at. It's
Okay,
nowhere near
Vicenza,
that,
okay.
thankfully. No, that's not in the shadow of a volcano. That's down south.
Okay. All right.
We did have our
that-
we did have our Mount St. Helens, didn't we? They're in the 80s, but it was nowhere near what Pompeii was.
No, Mount St. Helens was a walk in the park compared to what happened in Pompeii.
Did a lot of devastation when it went out, from my understanding. Flattened a lot of
Yeah.
forest and trees, and
But there was no villages right around the bottom of the volcano though. That's the thing.
there were people living out in that area that they got out of there with the exception of a couple of reluctant few that decided that was their home and they were going to stay no matter what, and that they made a choice.
Right. Oh yeah.
Yep. No, it's people make those choices all the time. They're not always good choices.
No,
Right,
well,
absolutely.
it doesn't seem like a good choice, but I guess they just didn't want to be, what's the word for it? They didn't want to change. They knew their home was going, and they just didn't want to have to start their lives over. Some of them were older people, and they were just like, you know what? This is it. I'm done.
Yeah, some people. It reminds me of that. Not the Armageddon. What was the other one that was similar to that? Those two movies
Deep
came out at the same
Impact.
time. Deep Impact, was that the one?
Deep
Yeah,
Impact.
where the father stands with his daughter on the beach in Virginia
Right.
and just waits to be wiped out because he's like,
Impact.
I've lived my life.
Right.
Like,
I ain't
dude,
afraid no story.
I don't think she was done, but
I'm headed for the Rockies. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Right.
No, somebody, why do I over here on your I think your YouTube channel, Chris? Yeah, he's asking about the recent asteroid sonic booms in the solar flare. I don't think those were asteroids. I think those were meteorites.
Meteor,
but,
yeah.
There was a meteor that hit the Earth's surface over Massachusetts and broke up, and it caused sonic
Right.
booms all over the place. That's correct. Just
Yeah.
last week.
I was here. I don't know why I didn't hear it. But and they were starting talking about. I go, why didn't I hear a big boom? Maybe because I grew up in Florida with the shuttle coming in all the time. It just
Well, it may not
seemed
went
normal
over,
to me.
it may not went over where you were at though.
Well, no, it supposedly was over towards New Hampshire and Massachusetts, from my understanding. But it was supposed to have been heard in New Hampshire and as far down as Rhode Island. I don't know why Maine's not mentioned, because if it was heard in New Hampshire, there's parts of Maine that should probably have heard it too.
All right. So did anybody find where it hit, or did it go out to sea? How far did it go out?
They're claiming it blew up like 40 miles above the atmosphere at one point in time, and it looked to me like it got pretty close. I've seen this happen before, this isn't anything new. I've had times when I was walking to my truck at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I see this green light shooting across the sky, and you hear this big boom in the atmosphere. You can hear it go off, and that's just everything in the center of it heating up and stuff like that, to the point it just let loose. And but it is kind of fascinating when you see something like that.
Yeah,
but no harm done. I mean, it's not like this. Somebody said, why did they go find it? It's like, because it probably blew up into pieces, and most of it's in the ocean now, if not all of it.
That's what I was saying. What did any piece anything be found? I mean, likely not. I mean, if you find anything, it'll be years and years from now. Somebody will find something, maybe. So
there's people that find little pieces of, they can identify was meteorite from way back when or whatever, and to go hunting for it is looking for a needle in a haystack. You're not finding anything.
Well, it's interesting because they've gone out in Ethiopia and places like Mali where it's desert, and they've taken teams and they've fanned out and they've looked for the remnants when they have these. And I remember one in Ethiopia in particular, and they found chunks of these things. They found several pounds of it. It's amazing how much that stuff survives all the way to the surface of the earth. And of course, if it lands in a desert, it's just hitting sand, which gives, so it kind of survives a lot better. But yeah, no, it's fascinating stuff.
It's going to disrupt the sand. We might see patterns and be able to locate it a lot easier too. But reminds me of Homer Simpson. Everybody was crowded into the panic room, and Homer was standing out there watching it come, and all it does is a little tiny rock bounces to his feet. He's like, "Oh, cool!" Picks it up and juggling this hot rock.
Hot rock makes me think of Japan, where they have those things.
Hot rocks, yeah, but those are different. Those are volcanic activity where the kids have to wear helmets, and they got shelters and stuff you can run to if you have a volcanic or an eruption. And it's interesting how people have to survive in certain environments.
The world is crazy indeed. Let me check into that California race now. I'm curious, guys, and see if we've updated any more. Yep, and Tom Steyer and Becerra both gained 0.1% on Steve Hilton, but only 14,000 more votes have come in for Steve Hilton, but he still leads by 104,000 votes over.
Wow.
So,
you keep counting and wondering, it's like, at what point are they going to figure out how they can justify overtaking him? We just happened to find this tranche of a very big Democrat district. Nobody voted Republican. Yeah, nonsense.
look at all these ballots we found under the table here in Atlanta.
Right, yeah, all of a sudden. But nothing to see here. Trump's deranged. How stupid. Ridiculous.
Aren't they still investigating Fulton County? I think they've been
yeah, and it's funny. It's funny as when Trump said, find the ballots, they're like, oh, he said make up ballots. He's like, no, he just said find ballots. When a Democrat said find ballots, and it's like, oh, it's okay for them to do it. But the Democrat says they also say make up ballots if you need to. That's what they're also saying.
When Trump had that meeting with the secretary in Georgia there, I forget his name. I listened to the entirety of that. And at the very end, he says, all we want is the truth. That's what we want. We want
right.
The truth.
He didn't coerce
Why is it that
anything.
part they always omitted or failed to say or recognize that? He was just saying we want the truth.
Yeah, but that's not how they dress it up. Look, I mean, I have some lunatic who's obsessed with me. I think she's got mental illness. She's a stalker. She keeps stealing my content from YouTube and making videos. She plays it, and she did one here where back in February, she must have went and trolled all my night shows. And back in February, I was talking about dogs urinating and defecating in my front yard and people not picking it up, and how annoying it is to step in that when you're mowing the lawn. And I'm sitting there joking. I'm like, geez, I just poisoned the little buggers if it wasn't against the law. So she takes that and makes a video. It says, he kills puppies and he kills dogs. How can you be a subscriber? You've got to unsubscribe from his channel. This is the character. This is character. Oh my goodness. So anyway,
there are
it's
loony
the same
people
thing
out there.
There's a lot of them, Todd. There's a lot of them. I had no idea because you and I served in uniform, and if people are idiots, they're gone. You get rid of them. You kick them out. You don't have to deal with this stuff. But I never knew how many nasty people there are in this civilian world. They have no compunction about lying. They have no compunction about underhanded, nasty things. They'll do anything. I tell you, that was, not that I'm naive, but I got to tell you, Todd, that was a big shock being in the civilian world out of uniform, because we don't tolerate that. People are gone.
Nope.
They get punished for it.
Nope, but we got people here in Tennessee where I'm at, that just, because they're in elected office, they think they can do whatever they want to and get away with it. And we're going to be addressing that very soon locally. Anyway, I won't get into that until a little bit down the road. It'll be interesting for you for sure.
Okay.
People
cool.
abusing their authority, their elected position to benefit monetarily. But I'll talk about that sometime down the road.
No, there's a lot of that goes on. I mean, I think that's why a lot of people enter politics, either, because they've got an ego, or they do it so that they know they're going to get access. Once you leave, you can make money as a consultant, or if you're just crooked and a pathological person, you can do this while you're in office. Look at Nancy Pelosi. She's worth what, $200 million now? She wasn't worth jack squat till she became a member of Congress. Now, how does that happen? Visa.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah, you're bought and paid for sure. A lot of them are. You know, and it's funny as they say they're going to reform healthcare, fix the healthcare, the insurance industry. But meanwhile, how many millions or how many hundreds of thousands of dollars do most members take from healthcare and big pharma and all this stuff? You know, you're not going to reform who's paying you.
Are you saying they
You're
get
just not
stock options on the side?
Now, whatever they get, they get a
Yeah.
lot of information on the side, and they can buy a lot of shares. That's for sure.
Oh, a little
And we know
insider
that- we know
trading
that
going
happens,
on.
so.
They would never do that. Pelosi would never say, "Why can't we have insider trading? Why is it illegal? Why do we have to have the stock?" Yeah, she would never do that, right? I don't know if you
because,
guys
you know,
remember her doing that, but she did.
being in Congress, you know, it's so expensive, so you need to make a little bit of more money, right? A little supplemental income called insider trading.
It is. You got to question that though. You do have. I don't know how it works with interns and stuff, but DC's an expensive place to live, and if you're making $175,000 a year, you got a home in your home state, and you got to have a place to stay in DC. Now, I've heard of congressmen saying, "I'm not renting a place or buying a place because it's too expensive. I'll sleep in the office if I have to." I don't know how many have done it and were genuine about doing it. But
There are some that do that. Very few, by the way, but there are a number who do that. But you also have some that will, you know, that rent a place and they'll each have a room. So you'll have several members of Congress living in one like townhome, basically, and some of them even bunk up in the same room.
is that
And,
safe
you know,
for
they're-
for policy decisions?
well, I mean, you got to think they're only there like during the week, so they're there just crashing. And most time they're in their office or at some dinner, this and that, or some event. They go there to crash, and then they're back home on the weekends. Usually by Thursday afternoon, they're on a plane or they're landing at home somewhere.
Yeah, Thursday is kind of like their Friday, isn't it? I mean, they leave their staff behind for Friday, and if you go in on
Right.
Friday, you're
They
meeting with their
fly
staff
out.
members, and
Usually they're flying back in or coming back in on a Monday. So usually Mondays are short days and Thursdays are your short days. So Tuesday, Wednesday, you're doing stuff. You know.
so
That's not
basically,
always
you're
the- that's
describing
not
our
always
members.
the-
You're describing our members of Congress as basically just shacking up. It's kind of humorous when you think about this. They're just like, hey, they're shacking up in D.C. Check them out.
Now, mind you, it's a full-time legislature, so technically, outside of whenever they're in recess, they could be potentially there at any point. So, you know, it's not like a state legislature that's there for a few months and then they're out for the rest of the year. For 8 months of the year, they're out. So, anyway, there's a little bit of difference.
Yeah.
Most state legislatures are part-time. Pennsylvania is one of those exceptions, and they pay
Yeah,
people well
sadly.
for it too.
Yeah.
Sadly is right.
I think New Hampshire doesn't pay you at all. What do they give you? They give you a stipend or something like that. So
How do you
if
find
get-
out who really wants to serve the people and who just wants to make money?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, some people want position, and that's one way of getting it.
They want to pad their CV, is what it is.
But
for
yeah,
sure.
if you don't have the means to support yourself independently, you're probably not going to do well in the state legislature. I don't know.
Well, I mean, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has done well at the national level. She can't support herself.
But she's got that eat the rich dress she wears, and you know.
Yeah, she's eating something all right.
Yeah. Maybe shrooms. Maybe she's a vegetarian. I don't know.
Right. So, according to Fox News, this just broke maybe 20 minutes ago. U.S. secures Israel-Lebanon ceasefire, major diplomatic breakthrough, according to Fox News.
Don't get too excited. They'll break it.
See how long that holds. Long enough to read it, perhaps. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't
So,
think
what do you
that's
think's
gonna
going to
hold
happen there? What are your thoughts on that conflict there? Is it tied to U.S.-Iran, or is this going to be a completely separate thing altogether?
As far as I'm concerned, it's nothing to do with Iran. But of course, that's my view. That's not Tehran's view. They're trying to link the two things. They're not linked. The Israelis have every right to defend themselves against attacks from abroad. So I would not collect those two together. But Iran wants to play the games like it means the same thing. So we'll see where it goes from here.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I was just curious what your thoughts on that one. Yeah, Tehran is grasping at straws. I mean, for sure. But what does a victory look like for the U.S.? I mean, what's the least amount that we could walk away and say this is a victory without completely destroying their entire country?
Well, I think 400 plus kilograms of enriched uranium delivered to us would be a good start.
That was my first thought. That's what Trump said. We're not done until we get the enriched uranium, and the promise that they're not going to do anything.
I love it. That has to be number one, and I like that's how you led with that's number one.
I just want to see regime change over there. It's time for them to be stopped because they're not going to stop unless something happens. And we talked about this before with the IRGC, and that they're the strong point there right now, and with them in place, that their philosophies are an apocalyptic mindset, and America's the great Satan. And so, as far as they're concerned, and that's why they've attacked us for 47 years. They view us as a evil entity, and they preach this, as Chris described, as a theocracy. And as long as they have that mindset, they're never going to stop. They'll find ways to hide what it is they're doing and enrich uranium anyway. So if we don't eradicate this now, we're going to be dealing with this probably 20 years from now, if not sooner.
Probably sooner. Yep.
Yep.
And in a very bad way. Can you imagine a suitcase bomb, nuclear radiation falling in Baltimore? It would irradiate Philadelphia, Harrisburg, New York, D.C., Baltimore, the Eastern Shore, Wilmington, Delaware. There'd be parts of the Eastern United States that would be uninhabitable. We'd have to move the national capital out to the Rockies. It's unbelievable that people actually, oh my gosh, they ignore this threat. They pretend it isn't real. They put their head in the sand. They're like freaking ostrich.
How do you? I know you're restricted on how freely you can speak about things as a former intelligence officer, but how close do you think we've been to these circumstances in the past? I know the feds always, intelligence, they monitor these things closely, but have there not been circumstances where it was getting very close, like something devastating could have happened?
Well, that was the premise for this attack now. I mean, if the government can be believed, they were within 2 weeks of having uranium enriched well enough that they could actually put it in a weapon. Now, that doesn't mean they have a weapon in 2 weeks. That means that they would have this the capability, and they'd have to build themselves, or the rocket deliver it. So, but the point is, you don't need a rocket deliver it. You just stick the stuff, like I said, on a cargo ship in a container, and you float it across the Atlantic till you get to us, and then you blow it up. You don't even have to dock at shore. Just do it in the harbor.
Right. That's right.
Pretty scary, but people want to put their heads in the sand, pretend like this is not a big deal. It is a big deal. It is a big deal.
Yeah, it's kind of concerning how people are easily swayed not to think about things like this or take these things into consideration. It's like you said earlier, we only know at the surface what goes on in D.C., what the president's looking at, what he's evaluating. He's not giving us a briefing. He's not telling us all the details about what's going on. We're really basically at his trust. We put a lot of trust in him to do the right things. And I think that we picked a wise president this time around. It was very concerning on the previous administration.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I thought we'd picked a wise president before too, but then apparently he didn't win in 2020, according to the government.
Well, this is true.
But now, what's funny is now, whenever these cabinet secretaries and agency heads go to D.C. to testify in front of the Senate or House committee, whatever, they're always asking them the question: did Donald Trump win 2020? Like, why do you need this person to admit it to validate your existence in Congress? I mean, they don't need to admit anything to you. They're there to testify on agriculture subsidies or whatever. Why do they need to talk about the 2020 election and admit something to you? It boggles the mind.
It's meant to undermine the credibility of the person who's testifying, because they're going to say that if you believe in that, then you believe anything. It's just nonsense. Of course, they're just liars. They know what happened in 2020. They can deny all they want. It doesn't change reality.
Yeah, but Todd's got a point, because it sacrifices their own credibility for asking, because they're way off topic.
Right, but I love the answers.
Did you see the exchange between Marco Rubio and what's her name from Nevada, the senator? She tried to blame him, and he just destroyed her. I mean, absolutely destroyed her. It was comical.
Rubio's a beast.
He is. I sold him short. Little Marco. I didn't, and I wasn't impressed because it was Tea Party guy. Supposedly, I wasn't impressed with his time as a senator, but I got to say, the dude is switched on as Secretary of State. He's the best Secretary of State we've had in a long time.
So what is this? Right? South Africa losing their seats at the United Nations, Chris, or is this just a certain thing this gentleman's talking about? The comment is Zimbabwe has been chosen over South Africa to sit as a non-permanent member in the UN Security Council for 2 years come 2020.
No, that's a mistake. The 10 seats on the Security Council rotate every 2 years. South Africa's 2 years are up, and so they're leaving. Yeah, so they get a 2-year seat on there. So it's time for another African country. They're not doing it over them. They're just taking the seat that South Africa's been occupying for the past couple of years. That's all that is.
Oh, okay. So it goes in rotation.
Standard housekeeping, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a rotation. I mean, the other 10 member Security Council don't mean anything. It's the 5 permanent security members that matter. And that's where it starts and that's where it ends.
Well, I'm glad Wyatt approves of Rubio. Rubio's really worked his butt off, hasn't he? I mean, he's been a working man in the Trump administration.
Not only has he worked his tail off, he has been spot on. His analysis, his commentary, it's just the guy's. Look, I was not a Marco Rubio fan. I've come around. I'm impressed, and it's and he just has it. He delivers it from the hip, and he doesn't need any of this nonsense from people who need all this stuff put in front of him. The guy is just brilliant.
Yeah, a lot of people are chanting Don Jr. for 48, and so a lot of people are looking at Vance, and I like Vance just fine, but if it comes down to Vance and Rubio, I don't know, man. I'm thinking Rubio 100%.
Well, I don't need to hesitate on that. I've not been impressed by Vance. Is a good number 2. I don't know if he's the guy to lead it. Top of the ticket, if we don't get someone else coming up, it should be Rubio.
Right. And Vance is young enough that even if, let's say, if Rubio got it and he wanted to keep Vance around for another go around, I mean, heck, another 2 terms as vice president. I mean, imagine 3 straight terms as vice president. You're strong at that point. Or if you're not, you got to go, right? I mean, I'm not saying that's how it's going to play out. Just a thought.
Yeah, no, I hear you 100%. Look, it's again, Vance is not my choice right now. If I had a choice, somebody replace Donald Trump, it'd be Marco Rubio. There's no question about it. That's just where I sit.
Yeah, it's funny watching me standing next to Trump while Trump's talking to the media, and he just looks so intense. He has this very intense look. Like, look, guys, we got business to take care of. I'm really just wanting to get out of here.
Right.
Well, the one thing I have an issue with Rubio is not an issue with Rubio. It's with Trump. He shouldn't be the national security advisor and the Secretary of State. You need to get someone in there that is doing the job. It's very frustrating to see this. So I don't know why Trump, and now some of these things he picks just shake my head. Anyway, just saying.
I just want to know why do you feel like Trump's not for America? I'm kind of curious on that one, because it seems to me everything he's doing is bettering this country.
Yeah, you're talking about one of the viewers on my program. Yeah, he's just being provocative. He's not thinking this through. So I mean, it's understandable.
I get the impression he's a young guy.
I don't know if he's a young guy, but I do know that he's not really thinking this through. It's like all the people that accused Trump of starting a war. He didn't start the war. Iran did. He ignored the war when he was president first time. This time he's not. Every other president has ignored it. It's a grievous loss for America. So many of our service members are dead because we didn't take this threat seriously for 47 years.
So his reasoning is that he is for the rich and his friends. It's obvious. But truth of the matter is, Trump brings up a good point. Do you want to pick somebody who can get the job done, or do you want to just go to the SBA and hire a subcontractor who may or may not be able to fulfill the job? And when you're trying to do things at this level, you need exceptionally competent people to get tasks done, and that's where he's drawing from. I don't know. I don't have a problem with where he's drawing from. A lot of people are concerned about Palantir and stuff like that, but Palantir has proven themselves way back in the George W. Bush administration. They've been at it a long time. They're competent.
Well, one would hope they're competent. I'll leave it.
So anyway, Darius Stone says here, OMG, does Gandalf have rugby balls on his shelf? A man of culture, meaning you, Colonel, are Gandalf in this situation. So you're a man of culture because you have 2 rugby balls up there. I love it. Well, that's high culture. I love it.
Funny you should mention that, because here on the floor, taken off the shelf for books, is my 2018 San Francisco Sevens tournament fan ball.
There you go. Nice.
My 2022 Sevens World Cup in Cape Town fan ball. My 2025 Women's Rugby World Cup fan ball from England. And a full-size official 2025 Women's Rugby World Cup ball from England. And,
nice.
Yeah, and just as even though I hate the beautiful game because it isn't so beautiful, it's so corrupt, I do have a fan ball for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, which is about to kick off. There it is. So anyway,
who's that rugby player, man? She gained so much international fame from being I can't think of her name. It's like LLAN or something as her first name.
I'm not sure who that is.
Oh, Darius corrects me. He says, no, Gundalf. It's more clever than Gandalf. Okay. I'm not sure who Gundalf is, but hey. All right, all right.
I think he's trying to play off Gandalf. Gundalf as in, firearms.
Yeah, I think that's what's going on there.
All right, cool.
Chris,
how do you know?
Are you known for your firearms over there, Chris?
Well, I think a lot of people think that I have several gun safes and about 150 weapons in my house. They're off by a couple.
You just not count the 22s, right?
Yeah, I don't count all my Glocks. They're just mandatory.
Oh, speaking of Glocks, who is it? What state is it that wants to? Is it Maryland? Wants to ban Glocks now? They're trying to illegalize them because they can be modified.
I think that we just need to ban politicians from Maryland, and we'll solve a lot of our problems.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like we were talking about here last night with Billy and Tim about is it Oregon that wants to ban hunting now? Protecting animals' rights and people don't need to hunt, and you can go to the store and get your food. And so my take on it is, yeah, if you ban hunting, the only one thing that left ever agreed upon was you have a right to go hunting. So you need rifles for hunting. And if they ban hunting, then I guess you don't need rifles according to them, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it has anything to do with protecting animals. I think it's
No, it has to do with making people just make people bend your will to do what you want. So it's just look, it's these leftists. They just got to be in charge of everything. They just can't help themselves. So anyway, but hey, before you go any further, I just want to say something very quickly here. Congratulations to my Las Vegas Gold Knights on the road to Carolina last night in Raleigh, winning 5-4 in regular time. It was awesome. What a great start to the Stanley Cup Finals. And the third time in 9 years since they came into existence, the Vegas Golden Knights finally settled the Stanley Cup Final. They lost, unfortunately, 4-2 to the Capitals the first time around in their first season. Then they won a couple years ago in 2023. Now they're back again, and they're looking pretty good. Boy, if they take a second win in Carolina, I think the thing will pretty much all be over. But right now, they just have the upper hand. But Carolina's tough. That's a fast team, man. They skate on the ice. Looks like they got rockets under their skates. So Vegas needs to stay on top of their skates and take this thing home. It'd be so great to see them win this thing again. I would love to see that.
Absolutely. It'd be interesting for sure. So you're going to, when's the next game?
Should be tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. I haven't looked because it was last night. So it's 2 days, each of the games when they start out 2 days apart. So, yep. But 5-4 last night. An epic game. What a shot was Tomas Hertl, who scored with just like 3 minutes and 20 seconds left in the game. It was a beautiful behind the back sort of pass to him, and he just slotted it right in there. It was great stuff to see. It was a good game. I mean, I'm sure that the Carolina Hurricanes fans weren't too happy about saying it was a good game, but it was.
Imagine that.
I mean, they really were. It was really a good game. So anyway,
good deal.
Should I check on the California stats again? Here we go.
Yeah, let's see where we're at there. Now I'm interested. So.
Wow, we're up to all of 56% of the votes. How embarrassing for these people. How embarrassing. Nearly 24 hours since the polls closed. 5 million votes are in, so that means it's going to be about 10 million votes probably when this is over. But Steve Hilton maintains his lead, but now it's down to 108,000 votes, but still maintaining that lead. Let me check in on Karen Bass. It's funny because Karen Bass is being listed as a winner, but she has to go through a runoff. So she didn't get 50% anyway, but yeah, Spencer Pratt is in second place. So we'll see what happens there as it goes forward.
Yeah. I mean, with everything that goes on in California and in LA, for crying out loud, it's like, why would you not try something different? Go away from these standard old Democrats who have bled you dry and ruined you, for crying out loud. And you talk about, drought, and California's in all this drought. It's like, it's water management in most situations. I've listened to scientists, and of course, talking about the podcast I've been listening to. I've listened to a number of scientists talk about how it's, the most precipitation of all the states is in California. And it's just 90% of it just pushed out to the oceans, and it's gone. They don't capture any of it to use properly. And I think that's a big problem that they have in Southern California. Yeah, they have a lot of people there for sure. It's a big drain on it. But if you're mismanaging it from get-go, I mean, you're not going to have any for the influx of people or the outflux of people, whatever the case may be. Millions of people that are suffering from, crying out loud, in Southern California try something different, vote differently. And if it doesn't work out, you can always go back, for crying out loud. It's not going to be worse. I can tell you that.
Well, the bottom line is that California doesn't manage its water resources very
No.
well. That is a major problem. So you've hit that one spot on the head. Yeah, there's no question that's the case. It's a shame, but it's a reality. But they're far from alone. You look at Cape Town in South Africa, they also screw their water resources. You know, they lose
Yeah.
nearly 40% of their water through leaky pipes because they don't do proper pipe maintenance and repair.
Somebody
So
mentioned
money-
here that they have some major water leaks, I guess, maybe somewhere in South Africa. I couldn't remember where.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. It's
Yeah.
up to 40% of the water never even gets
Wow.
to the consumer. It's wasted. Then they have no gray water reuse policy. You know, like you take the partially filter water that's not, sanitized for human consumption, but you can use it to water lawns. You can use it for things like that. They have no gray water policy reuse on that. And that's so a few years ago, there was talk about how Cape Town has this day zero. They're going to run out of water and their reservoirs are all drained. And it's all because of global warming. No, it's not. It's because in 1900, there were 500,000 people in the Cape Town area using water. Now there's 5 million plus. And in 1910, the consumption of water per capita was much lower. There was no industrialization like we have now. And so the per capita consumption of water is exponentially higher now. And they have never taken that into account. So they're trying to act like the reason for all this is because of global climate change. That played a small role. It's human action and inaction that caused most of the trouble when it came to the day zero for Cape Town. But that doesn't matter. They got a narrative. They're going to tell their narrative, and suckers will fall for it. So
For sure.
Somebody here brought up, wasn't California a Republican state? Was it good then economically? I think California used to be a standout state at one point.
Yeah,
in
it
time.
used to be. That's why so many people moved out there. And then they got this idea of La La Land, and everybody's fun in the sun. Everybody's a movie star, and somebody else can pick up the tab. It went south on them pretty quick. Too many people.
California is a large state. It's largely populated and basically could run as a country all on its own. I mean, with its economy and stuff, it's pretty strong, or it was, but it's depleting now. Since the Dems have taken over, it's been depleting. People are leaving California. Major corporations are leaving California, trying to get away from their nonsense laws and regulations.
well, the problem is that they're going to places like Texas and Tennessee and bringing their screwed up ideas with them. That's the
true.
problem.
Yeah,
That's true. That is a problem. Oh, yeah, you're right. That is a major problem.
You can't flee someplace and then bring the same stupid ideas to that place. It really doesn't solve any problems. It just brings the
No,
problems
sir.
to somewhere else that doesn't deserve to have your mess coming from elsewhere.
that's why we say don't mess up New Hampshire. Leave whatever
Don't-
you're leaving in
Don't
Massachusetts.
mess up Massachusetts. Yeah, that's good.
I
like
love
that.
it. Don't mass it up. I love it.
That was Kelly Ayotte's campaign slogan.
Was it now? That's pretty good.
Clever.
Yeah.
Anybody heard from our friend, our retired general there?
No, he's just silent. He's living his life. He's living his best life, and just doesn't want anything to do with it anymore. He's
Well,
had
I
his
don't-
fill.
I don't blame Don Bolduc. It's I got a sour taste in my mouth from running, and he ran a much higher stage than I did.
Mm-hmm.
I think Todd has had a sour taste in his mouth in the past too when it comes to what's going on with politics. It can be very frustrating
for
and
sure.
disappointing.
Unfortunately, people can be very fickle and turn on you if they don't get exactly what you want. There were some groups of people that wanted Don to do like election recounts and stuff like that. I don't think they understood the cost of doing that. But then some people claim, well, they had the money and the funds, but you still have to have a close enough election to do
It wasn't close enough to warrant that.
No, I don't think it was. And so they just didn't seem to understand and kind of turned on them. But just the same, ladies and gentlemen, that's the end of our show tonight. We hope you got something out of it, enjoyed it. Don't forget to catch us next week when we have Dr. Dan Stock on. And remember, vote right, get it right, because we need to keep New Hampshire conservative. Good night, all.